Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing my top 10 current favorite eyeshadow palettes. I did this video 3 months ago. It was the first week of December and things have changed. um, Out of the 10 that I did last time, there are 3 from that video that are still part of my favorite top 10. So that's something, but there are 7 that have changed. So I'm not going to rank them. I'm just going to show you the 10 because, oh my God, it would be impossible to rank them. So I actually have them on a pile, in front of me, with the smallest ones on the top going down to the biggest ones, just because it'll be easier to do them that way. So I'm going to start with the little ones. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to show you was not in my video 3 months ago because I don't think I owned this back then. And that is one of the Fenty Beauty palettes. She came out with these little tiny palettes. And this is number 8, which is Pastel Frost. And this is perfect for this time of year. So this is what you get in there. Why don't I just turn it around and cover the mirror that way? That's less awkward. By the way, you can see my unit back there is empty because all these things that I'm about to show you is pretty much what was on that unit. Because I tend to put on display the things that I'm enjoying the most at that time. So yeah, this is 6. They're saying pastel. The gold is obviously not a pastel, and the purple is, to me, deeper than a pastel, even the green. But anyway, I'm not gonna be picky about the title of the palette. I'm just letting you know that to me these aren't all like true pastels, but this is not a standalone palette in my mind because I wouldn't. I have to bring in a mat to tie the whole thing together. Like if I'm doing a look and I want to use, let's say, 2 or 3 of these, I'm going to need a mat in my crease. I'm going to need a mat to bring it together, and it's just not going to work on its own. But I still feel like it's definitely worth buying if you're looking for a small pastel palette. I enjoy the color selection, and so this particular palette works really well in conjunction with the next palette I'm going to show you. And this is the Sugarpill Fun Size palette. And again, I'm going to flip this upside down so that I can cover up the mirror more easily. So this is an all matte palette. And for the same reason why I don't feel like the Fenty palette is a standalone palette, I wouldn't normally do a look that is all matte any more than I would do a look that was all shimmer. However, I would be more likely, if I had to choose between the two, I would rather do an all matte look than an all shimmer look. But these two together create, a good colorful palette, but you kind of need one to go with the other. So the Sugarpill one, the quality of the shadows, they make really nice matte eyeshadows. This is the only Sugarpill eyeshadows that I have, so I can't really say how their shimmer shadows are, but I've reached for this so much since I bought it in conjunction with other palettes. So these would be my first 2 out of the 10 on the list. Okay, now the next palette is something that's going to make a reappearance from my last video that I did like this, and that is the Jeffree Star Mini Controversy palette. And this is a nice combination of cool tones, warm tones, and a bright purple, which sort of straddles the line between cool and warm. But yeah, I like this palette. And a lot of people didn't like it because they said it wasn't really a cohesive palette, that they should have either picked cool or picked warm and then run with it. But Jeffree does this a lot in his palettes, where he never has a palette that's all one tone. And he gets a lot of flack for it, but I think the reason why he does that is he wants people to be able to create different kinds of looks within every palette. Because if, like, let's say this is the only Jeffree Star palette that you own, this way you can go with the blues and the pink and maybe the purple and do like a really cool toned look. Or if you're not feeling the cool tones that day, you can go with the burgundy and the tan and the beige and the how would you describe that? Light brown or taupe. Actually, that taupe works with warm or cool colors. But you know what I'm saying? So you can get a lot of different kinds of looks from this one small palette. So I think that's why he does that. But I'm still enjoying this. I love the quality of his eyeshadows. He's got one of the best eyeshadow formulas out there. Okay, the next two palettes, I'm going to show them to you together because they came as a collection. And that is the Melt Cosmetics Muerte and Vida palettes. I bought one, and then I bought one online, and then I played with it and used it and said, oh my god, I have to have the other one, because I had never used Melt Cosmetics before. The formula kind of shocked me because it's very, very dry. And at first I wasn't too happy about that, but it's crazy pigmented too. So I feel like if you are a beginner with eyeshadows, these may not be the best palettes for you. But if you're somebody who is used to working with very dry, powdery, pigmented eyeshadows, then you might love these. But yeah, definitely not for beginners. So let me show them to you. These palettes are mostly matte. There are very, very few shimmers in them. In the Vida palette, there's only 2 shimmers. And in the Muerte palette, I think there's also only 2. No, there's 3. Okay, so there's 3 in Muerte, and there's only 2 in Vida. But I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. All right, what if I do this? And then put the mirror on the top. There we go. So the Muerte is the one that's on top. And as you can see, there's a lot of really, really dark colors in there, which makes it kind of hard for somebody like me who has a light skin tone. And then the one on the bottom is more of just a bright palette with some neutrals and some warm tones. Actually, the whole thing on the bottom is warm. There's no cool colors in there unless you count that red at the end. But the Muerte, these aqua shades, I just love those so much. And then on the Vida palette on the bottom, I really like these 2 greens and the yellow. But the neutrals right after that are really great too. They're all really good. I really enjoy these. They're very expensive, these palettes, but this was the collection. What was it called? Amor Eterno, I think was the name of the collection. Came out it was their holiday collection. And I thought that was so interesting to bring this out for the holidays because They're magnetized on the side, by the way, and so they do draw together. I thought this was a very unique concept to be coming out for the holidays, but I'm not somebody that particularly likes Christmas that much, so I think that's why it appealed to me even more. But if you are lacking bright colors in your collection, these are very, very colorful, and they're two of my top 10 favorite palettes. Okay, next is the palette that I revisited in yesterday's video, and this was also in my video 3 months ago, the Blood Sugar palette. As a matter of fact, I have it on again today. In yesterday's video, I did a red look, and today I did pink and purple, so it's more versatile than what you would think. And I just talked about it and showed it in yesterday's video, but so that's the color scheme. And I went through a phase where all I could think of with this palette was just red. It's like all I could see when I would look at it, but it's much more than that. And you can do a wide variety of looks, because if you look at it again, okay, this is upside down, keep in mind, because that way I don't have to show the mirror like I said. So the top row, which is actually the bottom row, is almost all reds. But then in the middle, you've got the purple, the gray, and the pink, which is what I went with today. But then beside that, you've got a couple of peachy shades, and then the one on the end is like a warm pink, I would say. And then this row right here, you've got the white, which I used for my brow bone and inner corner highlight. And then you've got some beiges, and then this is like a warm brown, and then this bronzy shade and a brown. So you actually can do a lot of different looks with this palette. So that remains in my top 10. And this next one is probably no surprise, the Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette. And you've all seen this a million times recently. The only thing about this palette is because of the color scheme, people have a tendency to get tired of these light pastel-y type shades easily. So if you don't think you would be using this a lot, I don't know. I love this packaging, it's so pretty. But yeah, these kind of colors look really good on me with my light skin, so I do think I will get a lot of use out of this. And it's coming out right before spring, so it's a good time of year to be bringing this out. But I think it's beautiful, and it's much prettier in person for some reason than it is when you just look at it online. And at first glance, it doesn't look like that purple of a palette, but it's just that a lot of the purples are very light purple, which is what makes it look more pink sometimes than purple when you look at it. And the next palette is the last one that is from my original list, and it's the Jeffree Star collab that he did with Morphe. And this is at Ulta, and they still have this. I thought that when it came out originally that it was going to be like come and go type situation where it wasn't going to be around anymore, but they still have this at Ulta, and they still have it on Ulta and Morphe's websites. But it's a really pretty palette, and it's a good price considering it's got Jeffree Star's name on it, and I really like the color selection. There's a lot of like peachy type colors in this palette, and they're very pretty, and no matter what depth of peach you want, you can see by looking at this that there's a lot of them in there. And when I saw it for the first time, my eyes went right to that green, but I haven't found myself reaching for that green very much because that's an odd shade of green that doesn't really go with a lot of things. So that is not the easiest shadow to use in terms of color. But yeah, there's a wide variety of colors in here. I mean, you've got a lot of light shades, but you've got a lot of pops. You've got some neutrals, but it depends what you consider a neutral, you know? But yeah, I really like this, and I didn't find there to be much difference between this and Jeffree's formula, because that's Morphe's shadow formula. And I don't know, some people equate Morphe with low quality, but that has not been my experience. I've had very good luck with all the palettes I've ever bought from Morphe. So I don't know, I guess it just depends on your own personal experience. And speaking of Morphe, the Morphe Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette is on the list now. And there's no mirror on this one, so I can just hold it up regularly. I really like the pinks and purples. I haven't dove into this too much yet, but I've used it enough that I know I really like it, and I'm going to get a real wide variety of looks from this. At first glance, it looks quite neutral, but then the more you look at it, the more you realize that there are a lot of bright shades in here. But there are neutrals if you want to mix those with the neutral shades. But I like this, and I'm glad that I bought it. And last but certainly not least is the Morphe 35i Icy Fantasy Palette. And this was the collab that they did with Pony Park. She is a Korean YouTuber. And you talk about perfect for spring. This is really perfect for spring because you've got all your Easter egg type colors in here with different depths to them. You've got a lot of light shades that you can use as a highlighter. I've been experimenting a lot lately with, I didn't do it today, but I've been experimenting a lot lately with using eyeshadows as my face highlighter. And why not? You know, it doesn't matter. But yeah, look at those colors. Just beautiful. The first time I saw this, I was like, oh, it's a 35 shadow palette, because I really didn't want to get any more of these big giant palettes anymore because they're difficult to store. But now that I put this little, well, it's not little, it's tall, but it's narrow, bookcase there to put things on display, that kind of helps out with the storage situation. But yeah, these are really, really pretty, and I have been enjoying that as well. So those are my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes. And if the house caught on fire and I had time to grab 10, I wouldn't grab it. If the house caught on fire, I wouldn't grab any eyeshadow palettes. I would probably grab my purse and run out the door. All right, so thank you so much for watching, you guys. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.